Hey, what is going on, party people? Greg Jenkins here from MonkeyPod, and I wanted to pluck a video from one of my courses, the CB Trilogy, to unpack and examine the three types of timers that you have access to when you are building your campaigns. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I feel like the timers are just really valuable. I think that they are generally more flexible than people give them credit for. And time again, I'm able to see scenarios where they could simplify a build for someone or add some functionality that people maybe don't realize is possible because they're missing some key component of how these timers can work and how they can be combined to support the experience that you want to create for your leads and prospects. So without any further ado, let's jump into this module from the CB Trilogy course. In this video, I want to talk about timers. So goals, as we have mentioned in the past, are an event in time. They are achieved when a contact or a user does the specific thing that that goal is looking for. So there's not much that you or I need to do with regards to scheduling of the goals because they happen when an action takes place. But sequences, on the other hand, are built by us, architected by us, and designed to deliver an experience that you or I or whoever builds that campaign intends to have happen or believes will serve the customer. So sometimes you won't need timers at all, right? For example, if somebody fills out the Contact Us form on my website, I want them to receive an email right away so that they know that their submission was received, and with maybe a list of links to the answers of some of the most common questions I get, so that if their question is a common one, they don't have to wait for a response. There is an automated reply that does two things. Number one, it tells them, hey, your response was received, and number two, here's the top 5 questions I get most frequently. Maybe your answer is already in here. So in that scenario, no timer needed. However, if you are building an experience that's going to happen over a period of time, like an email series, right? If you need to deliver 7 emails over 14 days, you're going to want a timer in between those steps so that the campaign builder knows to wait 2 days before sending the next email, or to wait 2 days before sending the follow-up on that first one, or to wait 15 minutes before creating their membership credentials, right? So depending on what you want to have happen in your sequence, there may be different use cases for these different timer types. Now, the most common is delay timer, which essentially just starts counting as soon as the person enters the sequence. So, or as soon as the person hits that step. So if you have a series of items that happen immediately, and then you want to have a few day delay before the next email or before the next item, that's a perfect example of when you would want to use a delay timer. When the contact hits it, it makes a note of what time it is then, and then it schedules the item on the other side for that much time in the future, whether it's days, weeks, or months down the road. Now, the second timer type is the date timer. A date timer is probably the most simple to understand. It is simply a calendar, date, and time. So anyone who is in that sequence at that calendar, date, and time will experience whatever that timer has on the other side of it. So if I'm scheduling an email for, let's say, December 24th, well, anyone who's in that sequence, when that timer hits December 24th at 8 a.m., that item is going to process. Now, if somebody enters on December 25th or December 27th or after that timer has elapsed, it won't apply to them. So the calendar or the date timer references a specific day and time on the calendar. It also has the ability to do a date range. So this is perfect if you're doing a launch or if you're having a course that's being fulfilled over a period of time and there's a cohort going through it, right? If people can join that at different times, you may want them all to get the same welcome email, but only during the first week of July or only during the first week of September, right? So you can set up date ranges, and anyone who experiences or enters that campaign or that sequence specifically during that date range will get that item processed. And of course, if they enter beforehand, they will wait until the date range is valid, and if they enter afterward, it'll note that it's in the past and it'll know not to process that. Now, the third timer type here is the field timer. Field timer references a date, or it does reference a date, but it's a value that is specific to a contact. So a good example of this would be the contact's birthday, right? If you want to schedule a birthday reminder for your staff to give them a call or to send them a card or just an email wishing them well on their birthday, of course, everyone's birthday is relatively unique to them. So what you would do is collect their birthday, store it in a date field, and then use the field timer to deliver automation around the date that is unique to that contact. So a few other examples, if you're not doing birthday communications, would be something like their membership start date. If you wanted to celebrate the anniversary of their membership, you could do it using a field timer. Or if you're running events or catering events, or if you have any sort of coaching program that is it has a start or an end date that is unique to the individual, then field timers are a great way to create personalized experiences, because the timers can reference information from the contact record, and then of course use that to schedule the automation around it. Okay, so let's do a quick example to further illustrate the 3 timer types and where you might use them, right? So in this scenario, we're just going to start the campaign when a contact purchases our product. Let's say it's perhaps an event registration. So we're hosting an event, and they're going to register for that by purchasing through an order form or through the shopping cart. So the first thing we would want to do is add a sequence here to confirm purchase and event reminders. So something like that, right? So in this sequence, remember, they're being added to this at the exact time that they purchased. So the first thing we want to do is probably send them an email letting them know that their purchase was successful. So purchase confirmation. And then maybe a few days after that, so 2 or 3 days after that, we might choose to use another email with some suggestions for the event, right? Things they can do or prepare ahead of time. Now, the timer that I selected here is a delay timer. So we might be able to configure this to 2 days, run on a weekday or a weekend or any day or a specific day of the week, run on the next Sunday or Monday, or a day of the month, right? You actually have a lot of flexibility here if you want to schedule this specifically for the last day of whatever month they happen to be in. But for this scenario, I'm just going to leave it as weekday, and we'll choose 7:15 a.m. in the contact's time zone. Now, what I like about the delay timer, what I want to draw your attention to, is this summary statement at the top here. So as you configure these different sections, you'll notice that the sentence adjusts up here to tell you in human language exactly when that step is going to schedule. So wait at least 2 days and then run on a weekday at 7:15 a.m. Now, a little gotcha or a catch here is that 2 days just means midnight needs to pass twice. So if they sign up at 11 p.m. on a Monday, 2 days later at 7:15 a.m. would be Wednesday morning at 7:15 a.m. I point that out because it is not 48 hours later. It just means midnight needs to pass twice. So 2 calendar days later at the time that we selected, or at any time or during a date or a time range. So we'll just leave it just like that. Now, these steps, right, the first one is actually going to run immediately because there's no timer preceding it. But the second is going to run 2 days after they entered this sequence. So this timer begins counting when the contact enters the sequence and then sends this email 2 days later. Okay, so if the event is, let's say, on a calendar day, let's say the event is September 1st, you might want to have some emails the week before, the last week of August. You might want to have 2 or 3 emails getting them excited for the event. Or maybe a month before the event, you want to have an email recommending that they book their hotel, right? Things like that. So in order to set that up, you would add another start trigger, and then you would add a date timer. And the reason I choose a date timer is because the date timer allows us to hard code a calendar date and time. So if the event is September 1st, we know that August 1st will be a month before the event for everyone. That's important because these steps are going to process on an individual basis, unique to the contact record, whereas the steps that I put here, such as the hotel hotel reminder. And then I could even do a second one, the week before the event. So this would go the last, the last week of August, on August 26th, for example. And then that would be the last minute tips or reminders or address confirmation, that sort of thing. Confirmation. So these calendar date steps are going to run at the same time for everyone. So if I purchase, I'm going to get this email right away, and 2 days after, I'm going to get that. If you purchase a few days later, you're going to get this email right away, and then you'll get this 2 days after you purchased, but we will both get this email on August 1st, and we will both get this email on August 26th. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the delay timer is a unique is scheduled uniquely to that contact based on when they enter the sequence, and then the date timer is scheduled generically for everyone who is in that sequence at that time. Now, the tip or the next level of understanding for these date timers is that it schedules at the next possible available time on the calendar. So if somebody enters this sequence and August 1st is in the past, if they enter on August 2nd or August 5th or August 15th, they'll still get this email. 2 days after, they'll get this email, and then it'll recognize that this has already taken place, that's in the past, so it will skip that entirely, but they will queue up on this timer, and then on the 26th, they'll get this email. So I guess my point is, with date timers specifically, the campaign builder has enough logic to automatically advance the contact to whatever the next available or the next logical timer is for them. It will skip events or times that are in the past. Now the final timer type here is the field timer. And I probably wouldn't use it in this particular scenario, but the way that it works is once you connect it, you're choosing a few days before or a few days after, and then some time or date unique to the contact. So like their birthday or their anniversary or their last payment date or an event date. If it is if you're a caterer and you're planning for their wedding, you're going to store their wedding date in a custom field, and then you can run automation counting down to that particular date as it pertains to that individual contact. And you can choose the next occurrence of that date, or you can choose the year from the field. So if they're planning a wedding and it is multiple years down the road or more than a year in the future, you want to make sure you're using the year from the field because you don't want timing to go out 3 days before the date if it's if the event isn't for another 12 months after that, right? So having the ability to choose next occurrence or year from field makes these timers a little bit more flexible as well. Now, the reason I have added these each to their own start trigger is because you aren't able to connect timers of different types. So I have a delay timer here. If I go to schedule these, it's not going to let me connect those two. And then similarly, I've got the date timer here. So if I go to connect those, it doesn't allow me to connect timers of different types. But however, these threads, I call them, these sort of swim lanes of actions or of automation that you want to process, they all begin at the same time. So if you picture like one of those Hot Wheel tracks when you were a kid and you could build the track that the Hot Wheel cars would go down, they had like a starting tray at the beginning. So when somebody enters this sequence, it's like tipping up the starting tray. All the cars go at the same time. They all begin, and then they each process at their own rate. So this one would start, and this email would immediately go out, and then the contact would wait here for 2 days before this one goes out. But simultaneously, this one would start, and it would evaluate when is August 1st? Is it in the past, or is it upcoming? And it would either schedule that or bypass that and schedule this one. And similarly, this one would begin to process the logic at the same time as well. The final tip I'll give you here is that for the field timer specifically, that value, if you're doing like an event date or a video series start date, right? That value needs to be set on the contact record before they enter this sequence. So I guess my point is, if they enter here and this event date is set, it's going to schedule whatever you have next for that event date. But if the event date is empty when they enter the sequence, it's not going to be able to schedule this. And if you go and you update the contact record and they're already in here when you update it, it won't reschedule. You might have to remove the contact and re-add them. So that's an important note, is that if you're going to use field timers, the date for that field needs to be established before the contact enters this sequence. All right, guys, just one quick update that has rolled out. They've added an option to the delay timer to, instead of just wait a number of days, to actively wait weekdays, or to only count weekdays there. And here's a scenario why that might matter, okay? So in this campaign, you can see we've got a web form that's allowing prospects to request a quote. And then in the sequence, we are tasking an internal rep with preparing and sending that quote. And then if 3 days goes by and that contact is still in here, we're sending an internal fulfillment list to a team member to figure out why that quote didn't go out, right? To figure out what happened with the preparation of it and why they're still in this sequence. And the reason we can do that is because if or when that task is completed, this goal is going to pull them out of that sequence. So we know anyone who's still in here after 3 days means that the task hasn't been marked complete. And so this fulfillment list would send a list of those names to an internal team member to check on that. But the problem, and where this breaks down, is what happens if somebody fills out this form, Friday at 4 p.m., right? Or Friday at 8 p.m. for that matter. Well, 3 days later, remember, days just counts when midnight passes. So that would be, Friday at midnight is one day, Saturday at midnight is another day, and then Sunday at midnight is the third day. So Monday morning at 7:15 a.m., this list would go out. And that's, that's not wrong, but it doesn't account for the weekend, because 3 days, when we say we want to follow up 3 days later, generally we mean 3 business days. And it wouldn't be fair to that team member to say, you know what, you haven't done it, it's been 3 days, because those 3 days don't include any business hours. So the benefit of that addition to this timer is that you can say, hey, I want this to only count 3 weekdays. So using, the Monday through Friday as the weekdays. So if that came in on Friday, then this would wait 3 weekdays, and that would be, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before the fulfillment list goes out. So a small change, but there are some niche circumstances where that makes a really meaningful difference for us. Okay, so there you have it. The 3 timer types inside Keap. We've got date timers, delay timers, and field timers. They each have their merit and the use cases for which they are most appropriate. And hopefully you realized something or took away some sort of light bulb moment from this video that can help improve your existing campaigns or streamline the campaigns you build in the future. If you are looking for more training on the Campaign Builder, if you want to see the rest of this course that this video was plucked from, you can unlock the entire CB Trilogy at cbtrilogy.com. That is it for now. Thank you for watching. If you found this valuable, feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment below. Take care.